Hi everyone and welcome to MACRObots. MACRObots is a unique game in which your goal as the player is to design the artificial intelligence for your team of robots, or MACRObots, like the one seen here. The artificial intelligence that you design helps these robots accomplish their mission, which is to collect resources, a rare and precious mineral, on a distant asteroid in the outer reaches of our solar system. So to some, designing an artificial intelligence may sound like a daunting task. So I wanted to make a quick video to show you just how easily you can get started in programming your robots and spark some interest in playing a game genre of AI versus AI. So let's get started. First, we'll click play. MACRObots is divided into two separate game entities. The first one is your code editor. The second one is your game simulation. To get started with our artificial intelligence, we'll start in the code editor. The bot's memory starts as a blank slate. In the code editor, this is where you design the artificial intelligence that your bot will execute once the game simulation is run. In the code editor, each line of code can contain one command given to the robot. For instance, if I type move, enter, when the robot reads this line of code, he will move one space forward. If I type rotate, when the robot reads this line of code, he will rotate 90 degrees to his right. Just to see how these two lines of code would be executed, you can go Controls, Save, use this line of code, return, and start the game simulation. Our team of robots in this simulation are the red robots. You can see there are crystals on the board, an opponent, our base station, and blowing across the screen are some hostile environment particle effects demonstrating some of the radiation that you have to deal with in some of the advanced levels on the MACRObots servers. But for right now, we're interested in watching this robot execute the commands we gave him, which was move, then rotate 90 degrees to the right. When we start the game simulation, you can see that not only this bot, but every bot on your team executes the same code. Notice how he moved and rotated 90 degrees to the right. He will then continue to execute the rest of his memory, which for right now is all blanks, so he stands still for a number of seconds while he's waiting to repeat his code, which is move and rotate. Going back to the code editor, if we want to make this code more complex, we can simply edit, add another move, maybe add a couple more rotates, Controls, Save, Use, Return, start the game simulation over again. You notice he moves twice now, rotates 3 times, and then continues executing the rest of his blank code until it loops back around to the top. So as you can tell, these couple of lines of code may not be scoring you a lot of points, but it does give you an idea of just how easy you can get started in thinking about macro code. So let's get more complicated. Go back to the code editor. We'll get rid of some of these commands. Let's say rather than wait until it goes through the entire memory of the robot to repeat, we want it to repeat these lines of code once it gets to the end. How you can do that is go to immediate line 0. Now after the bot executes its move command, then rotate command, it will read this line of code telling it to go to line 0 and start executing from the top. So let's watch and see how much faster our bots perform its task. Save, use, start. Move, rotate, move, rotate, move, rotate. Now without that delay each time of them having to execute all of the rest of the blank slots in their memory. Now let's add some dynamic stuff to our bot code. Since all of the robots execute the same commands, at some point you're going to want to introduce some variables so that each robot can look at the world around him and adapt to the scenario that he's in. For right now, we'll just do a simple, after he moves, we'll have our robots generate a random number. That random number will get stored in what's called a register, R1 in this case. A register is a variable. Each bot can learn up to 32 of these registers in the current game state and use these variables to store information to make decisions later. So after he moves, each bot will generate a random number and store it in their own register of R1. And then rather than just rotate 90 degrees to the right, we'll have him rotate relative to what R1 says. So if R1 is a positive number, he'll rotate to the right. If R1 is a negative number, the bot will rotate to the left. And then again, it will go back to the beginning of those lines of code. So if we save and use this line of code, you can watch as each bot will make its own decision and turn in different directions. Let's see what happens. Move, choose a random direction, move, choose a random direction, move, choose a random direction. So you can see now each bot is choosing its own path through the board. Right now it's random, but you can tell using more advanced coding that you can have each bot make smart decisions as it seeks out the crystals and returns those crystals to score points at your base station. I hope this simple example helps some of you to get interested in MACRObot coding. It seems daunting at first, but after you start to design even just a couple lines of code and watch as your bots begin to execute the code and solve problems and score points, it's a thrill like none other. So thank you for watching our video. Please visit us at macrobots.net for more information. Thanks.